Welcome everyone to the FinTalk Show at Prose AI, where we spotlight entrepreneurs revolutionizing financial services and technology, transforming how businesses get done. For those joining us, we are Prose AI, where we specialize in helping FinTech and InsurTech businesses scale their revenue and reduce operational costs, particularly in the areas of automation, AI integration, and operational efficiency. If you're looking to scale your business, stay with us, or if you want a free consultation, just drop us the word growth in the DMs and we will get back to you. Our guest today, I'm really excited to introduce Mariah Gates, founder and CEO of Accelerator Automation, a company that is transforming how independent insurance agencies leverage technology. Mariah has scaled from running top-performing farmers agency to serving over, I believe, 750 agencies nationwide. Welcome to the show, Mariah.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. And we're actually just over 840 agencies, so we're a little bit higher, but it's been amazing. I'm so excited to be here to talk about it.
Amazing. The number we just need to catch up with the numbers as you scale.
Yeah.
That's amazing progress. That's amazing progress. Let's start with your story, Mariah. Tell our audience who's Mariah Gates, what's your origin, and how did Accelerator Automation come about?
Yeah. So who I am a business owner. I've been a business owner for 10 years. I owned insurance agencies. I started scratch and then took over 2 different agencies. I sold an agency and moved my family to a new state. And so, took over 2 different locations. I was a captive farmers insurance agent, and I came from the banking industry before insurance, and I was a bank manager for JP Morgan Chase. And I really loved the technology, the operational clarity procedures that were in banking. And so that's kind of, I think, what ultimately led me here was I had this really good example of how a business can operate with good tech and good clarity and procedures. And then I came into the insurance industry and I was like, what is going on? There is horrible processes, procedures. The systems look like they're 20 years old. The data was a mess. There's no clear way to do things. It was just kind of fend for yourself. So that was difficult to adjust to in the beginning. I am married to my high school sweetheart. We've been together for 20 years. We have 2 beautiful children who are teenagers. So please pray for me, for those parents out there who have had to have teenagers. And I founded Accelerated Automation 6 years ago, completely out of demand. I did not look to get out of insurance. I don't own an agency anymore. I sold it almost 2 years ago. And I didn't pursue that. I was sharing these wonderful things in automation that were helping my agency because I love to help others. It's always been who I am. And so I was kind of oversharing probably. And people were asking us for help. They were just reaching out. Can you help me? Can we jump on a call? Can I pick your brain? Right? The pick your brain question. We all get that. It's like the worst question. I swear at this point that the term pick your brain is probably a close second to the terms I hate the most, which would be like full coverage in the insurance world, right? They're just a close second. Anyways, so people were asking us for help, and eventually I just started saying yes. And here we are, 6 years later, we've got 15 employees. We're well over 7 figures in revenue and have helped a ton of businesses. And it has been an amazing journey and a blessing. So that's the Cliff Notes version.
That's really an amazing journey. I mean, looking at the whole family story, how it blends into what you do. I'm a father of 2 teenage boys as well, so
I'll pray for you too.
Can totally relate with that. If I get 2-3 words from them in a day, that's I've done very well. But then again, moving from your origin to move to a different state, and just take us back to the start. With your agency, you scaled up very quickly, becoming top 10 performer nationally. That's exceptional. What was your secret sauce, and how did you move so fast?
Yeah, so I actually set a record in our district for the fastest agent to career, which is basically going from they're kind of trying to figure out if you have what it takes to be an agent, and you need to hit some minimum production requirements. And so I set the record in our district for that back in Washington State, and careered very fast and started hitting all of my, metrics and goals and awards trips and all those things. What made me successful in doing that was kind of a do or die scenario. Like, I was a bank manager at Chase and I quit my job, and I had, 2 children and a mortgage and car payments. And I went to build a scratch insurance agency. We pulled out retirement to help with our cash flow and for, the first several years. And it was, we were just all in. And so there wasn't really an option to fail, or at least it didn't feel like there was. But how I started the agency was my own personal network and professional network. So I made a list of 100 people I knew, and I started there. And how I approached it was I called everybody and said, hey, I'm starting a new business. I'm going to be an insurance agent. I need practice on quoting people and reviewing insurance policies. Would you give me the opportunity to practice on you at your convenience? And of course, if you decide you want to be a client, great, but I just need the practice. And I was full. Everybody was willing to let me practice, review their insurance, take a look, ask questions. And that's how we got a really fast start. And in the beginning, I did pretty much all of my insurance meetings in person. I was driving to houses. They were coming to my office. I was going to other people's office, meeting them for coffee, lunch. And throughout that, I also made time to always meet with strategic referral partners. So there's nothing better than a referral. We all know that. And so I would always throw in a coffee or a lunch with a lender, mortgage lender, a realtor. I would try to meet with attorneys and bookkeepers, CPAs, my own CPA. So I really, because I didn't know anything about automation, I didn't really know anything about marketing at this point. I just did what I knew, which was talk to people, and as many of them as I could. And I asked every single person for 3 referrals. I asked everybody for a review on Google, and I just was in the grind, for the first couple of years.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story. I mean, like, referrals really work, but it was quite something, driving from one place to the other. So you saw it all, and then in 2019, I believe you make the big move. You decide to locate your family and then start a new company. What was that aha moment? Like, you thought, how was the transition like?
Yeah, so I started, we moved to Idaho. There was definitely just the area that we were living in didn't align with our values. And so we decided to move to Idaho. Plus my husband loves hunting here. So he was excited to get closer to his hunting area. And so that was difficult. We sold the agency in Washington, moved to Idaho, took over another agency that was really struggling. We were able to clean that up and turn it around, and staff it and get it performing very well. Won awards trips with that agency as well. And so that was hard to do, but I did all these things very, very manually, very network based, very local, because I really didn't understand how to reach any further than that. I just didn't know. And I joined a networking, a marketing group called Fully Covered. And they taught you how to build ads on Meta, on Facebook. It wasn't Meta then, but that's what they taught you to do. And so I learned how to do this, and I was like, wow, look how many more people I can reach, just in this, the time I'm meeting with one person, I could reach, 10,000 people. This is amazing. So I started learning that. And that's, of course, then you're creating all these leads and opportunities, and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I keep up with these? What do you do with them? And then I stumbled upon the CRM that we ended up using. And it was in its infancy. It was a startup. And I just loved it. Joined it very quickly, started utilizing it, started working with the founders as a beta tester, helping them determine what product features and updates. And with the startup, they move quick. They're very nimble. So they would make a lot of improvements very fast. And, now I was reaching all these people, and I had way more opportunities. And I was like, I need employees. And I always had a customer service person, but I needed producers, because I had kind of, like I said, done things kind of the old fashioned way. And so then I hired my producers. I stopped selling insurance. I stopped servicing insurance. my entire role became, I'm working on our operations and our automation. I'm just training my team. So it really allowed me to step out of the business and be a business owner instead of like a producer, which a lot of insurance agents never stop being a producer in their own business. It's very common. And that can leave, you know, their agency kind of stuck in the old ways of doing things. Because if you're selling every day, it's really hard to innovate in your business and, you know, cultivate your team and train them and coach them and motivate them. So getting that CRM and starting to have that automation with those digital marketing plans was a huge pivotal moment for us.
And this is really the value that you deliver to your clients, helping them to like really hold everything together. They focus on doing the day-to-day work, but you help them work, as I believe you put it, work smarter, not necessarily harder, right?
Yes, reducing manual work from your team, you know, over and over of the thousands of agencies that we've talked to, everybody says, you know, we're too busy. We're too busy. I don't have time for that. I want my team to ask about life insurance or cross-sell, you know, a different line of business or ask for referrals, or I want them to do all these things. I want them to review policies for coverages. And their team is like, I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm too busy. Now, that's a very easy excuse because anybody can stay busy. That's not hard to do. And so through CRMs and through technology and efficiency, so your staff is not working on paper. I mean, I just met with an agent literally this week, large agency in Texas, handling all their renewals on a piece of paper. They have a legal pad. So it's still happening today in 2025, you know, and that's unfortunate because they're working a lot harder than they need to. That's not a good use of their employees' time. You want to automate all these things as much as possible to be able to deliver a better human experience. In the age of AI, like you guys, relationships and trust and that human experience is going to be way more important than it ever has been in the past.
Absolutely.
AI is disrupting trust, and it has its place. I mean, we use the crap out of AI, and so should you, but you got to use it appropriately and deliver more of that human experience as much as you possibly can. So that's really where we find, you know, insurance agents struggle is, again, most of them are still producers in their business. They're answering billing questions, you know, processing renewals, talking to underwriters, and it's hard for them to look up and look out and innovate and make changes.
Amazing. I mean, paint us the picture. You mentioned, you know, you talked to a client this week. They're still doing, you know, a lot of stuff on paper. But when you meet an agency owner who's, you know, drowning in manual processes and you bring in accelerated automation, and they experience, I believe, some really good growth out of that, what does their before and after look like?
Yeah, it really depends on the agency. But I will say we have agencies who've doubled their teams. We have a big agency in Florida who is now one of our tech ops clients, who started as kind of our done for you service client. And because of the increased activity through the automation, the opportunities that were pulled, even just from their existing book of business, client communications, all that, they doubled their staff to be able to meet the demand and continue to grow the business. So their growth has been exponential. We have other agency owners though, like I have one that again, just recently, we set him up in March and he went through all of our automation process, all of the training, and then never implemented it. He never actually had his team utilize it. He had some turnover and just reached out to me and said, hey, I want to pick this back up. And the results vary from everything in between that, right? Because at the end of the day, any agency can build you the most beautiful, amazing, effective automation in the world. And if you don't use it, nothing will ever happen. It just doesn't. So if you keep using paper or putting your notes in your, you know, email tasks or in your AMS platform, and you don't utilize it, you're not going to have any results. The other side of this is that I have many clients, and one in particular, again, I'm always thinking about the recent people I talk to, because I talk to like anywhere from like 4 to 10 people a day, different agencies. And his automation did exactly what it's supposed to. It created more conversation from clients and prospects. They were responding like, yes, I want to quote, call me Friday, you know, whatever. it is, oh, this is interesting. What is an umbrella policy? All these responses. And their team was overwhelmed with
Right.
client communication to have an opportunity to capture. And he turned his automation off. He was like, this is too much. So he turned it off. And I was like, I go, Matt, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's getting you in contact with people that you never, ever would have had an opportunity to have these conversations with. Don't turn it off. Hire more producers. You got to capture it, man. Like, oh, it just hurt my heart. I was like, it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. But, I get it. Like hiring people and, and doing that and scaling, it is not easy. Scaling is hard. So if you're going to have automation, you got to be prepared for the result, right? Which should be growth. And you've got to be able to capture the growth. So results are all over, but we've had people double their business. We've had people do nothing, and we've had people everywhere in between. But every single time, every client, when they utilize the system, they experience growth. They experience on average a 58% increase in their closing ratios because of the consistent follow-up, higher retention, as well as a drastic reduction in manual work by their staff. So they reduce their workload by 3 to 4 hours a day of activities that were being done manually. And the good agencies, the good leaders, they redirect that 3 or 4 hours per day to productive activity. And that's what leads to growth.
Right. Wow. I mean, that's an amazing story there that you tell. It's a good problem to have for your client that they had so much coming in that they couldn't handle. But then again, I think turning it off wasn't probably the best thing to do.
It was killing me. I was like, what? What? I go, where is your job at? Did you post? Are you hiring producers? He's like, no. I was like, oh my gosh, you're killing me. You're killing me. So you got to be ready for the growth.
Yeah, but Maria, do you see this also then as an area you can support your customers that they get such amazing results that they didn't expect this? Is this an upselling opportunity for you then to help them grow their teams? Is this something that you've taken on board?
Yeah, good question. We don't offer like recruiting services, but we have built automated recruiting pipelines. So it's very similar to like your, prospecting funnel. You want to have a recruiting funnel. You want to have a lot of applications, and you want to funnel through those and narrow down to, the 10 people who are really qualified, really amazing, who you want to spend time with. So we do have that built into the CRMs that we work with. And the idea is that you are qualifying as you go. So doing things like personality assessments for those qualified applicants. And then we really recommend video interviews, meaning like we use a platform called Video Ask. It actually has an interview feature. And you have the applicant answer 3 or 4 questions on a video. So you can hear and see them. When you're working in financial services, there's a level of clarity that you need for communication. You have to be able to, speak professionally. Also, of course, like appear professional, like that is important. I've had people do video interviews sitting in their bed in their pajamas. Not impressed. Not going to interview that person. Not okay. I get that we're in, the post-COVID era and people work from home. I work from home every single day. You still don't get to do, disheveled in your bed in your jammies. So that helps weed out a lot of people. And then those people that really do, the other thing is the ability to do a video interview. I can't tell you how many applicants have replied and said, I can't figure it out. I'm stuck. Well, we work in tech and a modern insurance agency. If you can't figure out how to click record and play and stop, you probably shouldn't work there. So we funnel down, and then from there, a lot of automation around helping that prospect stay engaged in the process. So now that you've qualified past the video interview, schedule a Zoom interview or do in person, depending on the agency's preference, and then automating the follow-up in there to keep that applicant informed that we're still making decisions, we'll be in touch with you, or you've made it to our final round of interviewing. A lot of applicants, you talk to anyone who's applied for a job recently, they apply and they hear nothing back for weeks or months. And then the employer reaches back out. So having that automation, that consistency, that pipeline of applicants is very helpful when you're scoring and comparing those individuals.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. I think it's automation is really the way to go. You talked about you done for you model, which I think is remarkable. I think 20 plus pipelines, 800 pieces of automation, bilingual templates. You have a 10-week training program. can you walk our audience and maybe people who would want to use this kind of service, can you walk us through what the end-to-end process looks like when an agency signs up? What does week 1 look like? What does week 10 look like?
It's a great question. So we kind of have three entry points into our company right now. One is really for small agencies. My business coach is always telling me, you can only work with certain types of agencies. But I was a scratch agent. I have a heart for the small business owner, and a lot of people just need the resources to get,
Yeah,
to have the same experience I had. Start low where you don't know anything, invest the time and learn, and then you can grow a great business. So we have kind of a micro automation store, pick and choose kind of, we put it in place and you learn it yourself. We have our, like you mentioned, our done for you service. Now, the reason done for you is the route that we went is because we've done custom, and we do custom in another service. But the
right.
problem with custom automation, when you think about campaigns and copyright, is that they're untested. Like,
Hmm.
what will be your open rate and your bounce rate,
Hmm.
engagement? Those are
Right,
all questions. And insurance agents and financial professionals are not copywriters. I have a
right,
client who deleted all of our campaigns because her husband read them and didn't like them. So he and her son, who came back from college, rewrote all of the automations. Then she gets
right,
on a call with me and she's like, none of your stuff works. This doesn't work. We get no responses. They had a 5% open rate. And I looked at it and I'm like, that's because you put a bunch of garbage in here and none of this is ever going to work. Our automation has a 40% engagement rate on average across all different types of leads, colder leads and warm leads. And
right,
it works very well. But the problem they had is they were writing copy in the way that they would want to see copy. But people
right.
don't understand, you are not your client. There is a massive difference. So that is why we do done for you, because if we just did what our clients asked us to do, they would never have any results. It just wouldn't. We have the experience. We know what works and what doesn't, and we've been able to test it. So we put that
Right.
in place. The other side of it is done for you is great because most businesses don't have good processes and procedures. And so we've perfected that and outlined it, and we teach them. And it really starts establishing processes and procedures in the business that are measurable. So how
Right.
it looks for done for you is somebody signs up, we do an onboarding call, we have them take our course. We built an online course to start, and then we're building in their automated campaigns and workflows, basically 2 at a time, and they're learning 1 at a time. We used to do like 18 workflows and 60 days of training. It was like a crash course. And when I say crash, I mean it, because it was a lot for them to take in, and the business owners weren't always then supporting the staff, which we asked them to do. And so they weren't really fully implementing. So we really now, our goal is full implementation, right? Again, because I can build you the best automation, doesn't mean squat if you don't use it properly. So we're
Absolutely.
really walking them through implementation and holding their hand and answering questions and checking their work. And they train with
Right.
us once a week. And then at the end of their period, they will work with us for anywhere from 2 to 6 months in that
Right.
on the full scope. And then we have a community, we have daily support calls, we have, again, courses, tons of resources that we've created. Agents come back to us all the time for another refresh. As you know, automation and tech is always changing. So we have a lot of
Well,
repeat clients. Our third entry point is our tech ops service, which is really meant for agencies who have at least $2 million in revenue and are really trying to build custom operations, technology stacks, and processes that fit their business. There's a lot of niche work in insurance. We have an
right.
agency now in New York who does battery insurance, like for lithium batteries, and they're only one of a couple in the country. So it's very niche. So we can't give them an out of the box, solution. And then other agencies, they only focus on commercial insurance, maybe for contractors or coastal homes and flood. It just ranges. So we do very custom work in that. It is a year-long contract. They have a project manager dedicated to them, and we have about 10 people on that team, from
Right.
developers, copywriters, trainers who are dedicated and helping that agency from each process and workflow. So that's a very different solution.
Amazing. Amazing. I mean, this is what, and for our audience, maybe people listening wanting to know, what kind of results do you see? Because it sounds like you're really bringing value to these businesses. What kind of results can you tell our audience you're seeing?
For our clients,
For your clients, yes.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, so the clients that apply this and hold their teams accountable and have great leadership and change
Right.
management, we have clients that are doubling their production, that are increasing. So, for example, one of our clients in Washington State, he actually started a scratch agency. We built out all this. He was a captive agent, went independent, scratch, and built out all of his systems. And he was hitting 250,000 in monthly production with him and two other team members within their first 60 days, because they had automation that they never had in place as a captive agency. We have another agency down in Texas that was never able to hit the $100,000 production number. He's well over the 200,000 per month now. Again, through those automation, they're very heavy internet leads, which is of course a totally different niche. So people have doubled their production to doubled their agencies, but we also see results where they have a 10% increase. What makes the difference is their leadership in the business. And now doing this 6 years, if you would ask me this 5, even 4 years ago, I would have thought that the people that only had a small increase was our fault. I would have always blamed it on us, because that's kind of what I do. I always look inward first. How could we have done better? How could we improve? And that's how we really landed on these 3 entry points. That's how we created these services, because we learned more about our clients. But as I've been doing this longer, and our trainers spend an extensive amount of time with the agencies, the staff, the owners, we have had business owners yell and scold their staff on training calls. And the teams who shut down, don't want to listen, quit in the middle of change management. And what we've really found is, again, the tech can be beautiful when optimized and used well. You will get the results you want. But if you are a poor leader, your team does not trust you, you do not set clear expectations that this is how we will do our work going forward, and you don't let Susan, who's been there for 20 years, continue to use her notebook because she just doesn't like technology, oh, well, we'll make Susan the exception. And then you try to hold the rest of your team accountable. You're not going to have the results you need. Susan probably needs to find a different job if she's not going to get on board with the things that are best for your business. And so that is where results, we have phenomenal results, but the phenomenal results follow the really good leaders. That's
Leadership.
the difference.
Leadership.
Yeah. I could, blow smoke up and tell you guys like, oh yeah, all of our clients are so great. And in ideal situations, this is exactly what will happen, but it will boil down to you. You've still got to implement this stuff.
Yeah. And that's brutal honesty. And the leadership teams need to hear this. When you go in, they need to know you're providing a solution. It's only going to work if they actually provide the leadership that is needed. And this applies to every case anyway. You touched briefly, and I'm listening to you. I'm hearing a lot of focus on people, not just within your team, but within the organizations that you support. AI is coming in. There's a lot of AI integrations. How do you see that changing the landscape?
I think you're just going to need less people. That's ultimately what's going to happen. And you're already seeing this in our country. What our last jobs report, we lost like almost 1 million jobs, or it was like 900,000 jobs that we saw drop in the US on our jobs report. Companies, insurance companies, carriers, they're laying people off all over the place. One of the carriers that I'm just really close to, because I was a farmer's agent, they laid off, this was like a year ago, they laid off like 2,000 people. They just recently laid off like another 65 people in their commercial division. And it's because AI empowers you to do more so quickly. And you just need less people. And we are actually experiencing this here in our own company. Things that used to take, like, for example, my assistant in a week to work on and create maybe like a guide or a visual for our clients, we can do it in 30 seconds with AI now. It's insanely different. And the quality is great. We're still, of course, always checking the work and making sure it's good. But that's what I see. I think that you're going to be able to focus on your really good performers. You're not going to need to keep those people on your team who you're like, oh, I don't want to talk to them. They kind of suck. They're not meeting expectations, but gosh, we just have to have them because there's all of this work. You can automate and use AI to really optimize your great people, and you're not going to have to keep those bottom performers. So I
Right.
think there's going to be less jobs
Yeah.
in people-based businesses.
Mm.
Obviously, initially in professional environments like this, where we're on computers most of the time. And then I'm sure eventually with, Elon Musk's robots, eventually it'll hit the physical workers too. I mean, we're going to see that happen, but that's what I
Right.
foresee. I just foresee much less, much lower payroll, much higher
Yeah.
tech stack cost.
Yeah.
We have insurance agencies, large agencies that their tech stack is the equivalent of a payroll.
Oh, wow.
It can be
Okay.
like
I
it's
mean,
like an annual payroll for some of the things that they're doing,
mm,
because that one payroll, if you will, for your technology is
yeah.
allowing all your people to do 4 or 5 times the amount of work that they used to be able to do.
Yeah, I mean it's the reality. It's the reality. We are going to need much smaller workforces, probably increase a bit on the tech spend, but it's the reality that everyone needs to embrace now. It's either you embrace it and move on with it, or you'll be swept aside. Moving slightly to the regulatory and compliance side, I know you did some, discussions or some webinars on compliance, TCPA compliance, and you mentioned something around huge misinformation that is out there. How are these regulatory changes affecting your clients, and how does accelerated automation help agencies navigate compliance without killing their lead generation?
Yeah, great question. So, TCPA, the one-to-one law, of course, got struck down. So that was, thank God, because everybody was freaking out.
Mm.
And there's a lot of misinformation, even within the experts. I flew down to California to meet with one of the largest TCPA lawyers, defense lawyers, to really get the inside track on this. And how it's difficult for businesses, small businesses, because you're focused on, your client and your sales and your bottom line and your staff. And there's so many things to think about. And then there's federal laws, there's state laws, local laws that dictate how you can talk to people and in what mediums. And then the laws change all the time, right? So the TCPA one-to-one rule, everybody was preparing, all the lead vendors were preparing, and then it gets shut down in like the 11th hour, the day before it was supposed to be effective. It was like Friday. They shut
Right.
it down. It was supposed to go live Monday. Everybody had prepared. And now you're undoing all of that. Small business owners don't have a compliance department. They don't have an eye on these things most of the time. And the vast majority of the time, they just don't know. They don't have the resources.
Mm.
So how we kind of help agents with compliance is, first of all, letting them know that there are laws and rules around how and when they are allowed to contact people. A lot of people don't even realize that. And so helping them understand that is important, of course, first, and then helping them know where to look for their, regulations in their areas. We are not a compliance company. We will
Right.
provide resources and let them know. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, the only way to be sure that you are compliant is to have an audit done with an attorney. You
Yeah.
should have a compliance attorney. Now,
Yeah.
can it cost money? Sure, it can cost you $3,000 or $4,000, but
Mm.
wouldn't you rather be able to sleep at night and not risk your business? So we have 2 attorneys that specifically, focus on compliance for insurance industry. Really, one of them very specific insurance, the other one's a little more generic. And so we refer them out. There's also some really great online resources for self-learning, but we all know how that goes, right? We're not lawyers, and trying to read legalese verbiage and you're like, I think I know what this means. Like, I think I'm compliant. If you really
Yeah.
want to be sure, that's where you get a lawyer to review everything and put it in place and make sure it's correct. But the vast majority of agencies, I would say agencies that are under $1 million in revenue, this is very common, where they are flat out just absolutely not following any compliance. And they have this idea in their head that they're too small and no one's ever going to bother them. And it
Yeah.
won't ever be them. It won't happen to me. People make the same mistake when they think about, being audited by the IRS. So I
Yeah.
always tell people, it is not if, it is
Yeah.
when. And if you
When.
want a business, know it's
Yeah.
when, and put
Yeah.
in the parameters. So when it happens, not if,
Yeah.
because it will happen. If you're in business
Yeah.
long enough, it will happen. You're prepared.
Yeah. Well, it could be another area of AI automation to automate all these compliance audits. Maybe
Yes.
something that is somewhere in the pipeline. But looking at your growth, it's been phenomenal. I think you mentioned you are now up to 800 agencies and counting. How do you typically acquire your clients in a market where agency owners are, I believe, still a bit skeptical of technology promises? What's your go-to-market strategy, and how do you actually capture them? What's your hook?
Oh man, I wish I would have had a go-to-market strategy in the early days. That would have been very insightful of me to actually have a strategy. I have learned the strategy. Like I said, I didn't wake up one day and think, I'm going to start an automation or a marketing company because I have all this experience. People were
Right,
asking for help. And then, we were learning as we went. And we still are always learning and improving. But how it looks today, well, actually, let me talk about in the beginning, because a lot of business owners are starting early and they're trying to figure out what to do. What worked for us is we really found the pain point again through people asking us for help. And with being a farmer's agent specifically, there was a technology shift happening. And we basically got in with this panel of agents who was advising the carrier. So if you look for in your industry, people who are kind of like the movers and shakers, the top performers, everybody wants to do what the top performers do, right? It trickles down. So we got into, and it was like three, it wasn't a lot. It was like three top performers who were, saying, gosh, they're giving us this. It's awful. We need something better. I was sharing it on social media. Again, it wasn't a business yet. I was just sharing it. This is working for me. And they just saw, oh, wow, this is great. This would be helpful. I could use this. And they would
right,
reach out and get on a meeting and be like, yeah, I'll help you. Sure. And they would have success. And then they just told everybody.
right,
And it was just me in the beginning. I would take one agency a month, just me. Then I hired a virtual assistant over in the Philippines that he was with me for about 2 years. And then it was really social media, Facebook primarily. It was just the chatter. I was on there every day. Here's something that works. Here's something that works. I was just sharing and building awareness and building community. And it was all referrals for the first 3 years. We didn't spend a single dollar on marketing.
right,
Everything was referrals. Our clients were having success and telling
right,
others. They were excited about it and they wanted to share. And you have to sometimes remind them to share, but what we did really early is we started creating social proof. So we started
right,
asking for testimonials and reviews on Google, because let's face it, like we are prove it, like you were asking about results, right? Like prove that you
right,
have a good track record of doing this.
right,
And if you can get a few people that will trust you in the beginning, be along for the ride as you're learning, and then they're willing to share. And then as you help clients, incentivize those reviews. Our clients get an extra hour of training with us if they do a video testimonial. And I think we're almost at 200 video testimonials from our clients. We have
wow,
180 some odd reviews on Google, 5-star reviews last time I checked. But I also, after we started hiring and bringing in our staff, we incentivized our staff as well. So
right,
my trainers get a bonus when
mhm,
somebody does a testimonial. They get a bonus when somebody does a review. So put your money where your mouth is. If you need proof and case studies and reviews, pay your people to get those. Pay them for the
right,
things that you care about, and they will also care about them because they can get compensated. But that was how it started, just all reviews and everything. And that grew demand. And we started building a company around it, hiring people. I had my insurance agency and Accelerated Automation for several years. I've had the company for 6 years and
right.
sold my agency. January will be 2 years ago. So had both companies. That was a lot to take up to handle.
Mhm.
Now our go-to-market strategy, and we've also tried other things. We've run ads on Meta. We've run we spent about 30 grand this year on Facebook ads, Instagram, Facebook. We have a YouTube channel, which I'd highly encourage everybody to create a YouTube channel. And then anything you do, like a podcast, a webinar, just a training call that's, doesn't have private information, and get all those on there.
Mhm.
But now when we ask people, who they come to us, like, how did you find us? That usually what we hear is like, well, you're everywhere. Like you're at conferences, we've done, conferences, you're at speaking events, you're on YouTube, we've seen you all over social media, and we're on all the social platforms except for Reddit. We're going to join that one, but we're not there yet. so that now our market strategy is immersion marketing. Like we want them hearing our message over and over. You know, we know how it is in sales. You've got to ask somebody for the sale like up to 7 times before they actually do something. We also never ever stop reaching out to agents unless they unsubscribe, of course, so we're compliant. But if they reach out in some fashion, they are in our system. We use Go High Level for our company now. So they're on a drip campaign or a newsletter, and they're hearing our messaging over and over. We have agents. I mean, just about, I think it was last month, and an agent joined us, and she said, I should have done this 3 years ago. And I've actually known her personally. We were originally in the same farmers district together. So I knew her personally, and it took her 3 years to finally say, I just need your guys' help. I can't do this on my own. So don't give up on your prospects. Timing is everything. Be in all those areas, but you also obviously can't do it yourself. Like we have a social media company that does all our editing and posting and everything. So that's a lot of our strategy now, but it's evolved a lot.
Right, right. And what's the vision? What's do you have a target? You are now on 800 agencies. What's if you look forward, maybe the next 2-3 years, and you wanted to double that, for example, what's your bottleneck? Is there anything holding you back, or is it now just scaling off?
Yeah, I will tell you, I actually wish that number was about half of what it is. So what we've learned is in our services, you know, having from a business perspective, right? So this is more the structure of what we do. Our structure was clients would pay us a one-time fee, anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000, and work with us for 30 to 90 days through like, you know, really intense work, and then supported through our other like more passive channels and whatnot. And that's a very difficult business model to have. You need to bring so many clients on. We needed to bring on about 15 to 20 businesses every month. Some months we bring on more, less. And there's this balance of training people and bringing in the right number of clients and having availability and skilled trainers who understand the industry and the software and everything. So we actually have made quite the pivot. Our tech ops service is really the future of our company. Our goal is actually to, right now we have 24 agencies on our tech ops service. Currently with our staff, we can take 30 agencies, and our goal is to get that. Well, the next step after 30 is to get to 50, and then ultimately 100 agencies. And what we've found is, because insurance is always changing, we came out of a very hard market in the last few years. It's starting to soften. And then technology never slows down. We call it tech ops because it is your operations powered through technology. And that is basically becoming an area of businesses. Like there's large businesses, right, that have a CTO, a chief technology officer. This wasn't always a position in companies, and small businesses can't afford an actual experienced CTO. So we don't really want to have another 850 clients. We really don't. We want to have avenues for those people that need the help, of course. So that number is going to keep growing, but our goal is to find, you know, like 100 agencies. And I'm sure that that will continue to scale over time, but we want to become part of their organization. And that's what we're hearing from our agents on this service. Like, I can't imagine not having your team as part of my team, because we have the developers, we're doing the integrations, we're building the copy and the workflows and optimizing websites, and we're doing all of these things, training their staff. So that is really where we're headed. We want to be, just like you have to have an accountant or a CPA or a lawyer, part of your professional service team. That's what we are building.
Amazing, amazing. It's a fairly competitive landscape, the insurance CRM, but you're obviously keeping ahead of it. How do you keep ahead of competition?
Well, I will say this, that to be totally honest, there's not a lot of competition that is very similar. There are companies, and I know the companies who compete in our space. I know the owners, they're wonderful people, and we all have a different approach. We all really provide our service in a different way. And then the other side of it is that what people would appear, I guess, to be competition are usually a one-man shop. You know, they can help a couple agencies. They don't have kind of the team behind them. What's helped us with that is that we are partnered with Vertafore. We are not partnered. We are part of their Orange Partner program. And that has been hugely beneficial. And we've also been asked to work in other platforms. Like we primarily work in the agency Zoom CRM. It's phenomenal for insurance agents. It's complex enough to do the things that you need, simple enough for you and your team to use it, because that is key. Too much complexity just ruins it. And we've been asked to work in other platforms, but specializing and really niching down in what we do very well has been really helpful. And I know this is true in many other industries, right? You have a niche. Think about doctors, right? General practice doctors financially are compensated drastically less than specialists.
Right.
And that's very true in most things. So that has really helped our vision as far as like what we want to focus on and how we want to grow is really niching down. And so that's part of it. Yeah,
no,
that's kind of
that's a very good analogy to finish with. The general practitioner, don't go the GP way, become a specialist, and things will change. Maria, that has been very, very insightful. I've personally learned quite a lot from your journey, from your experience, from what you're doing today. Really, really incredible insights. I think we've looked at how you are revolutionizing the insurance operations, from looking at your journey, how you grew, your agency, and how you stay ahead of competition. But also that element of keeping the human element, niching and a lot of that. Is there anything else you'd like our audience to take away from today?
Yeah, you guys, if you're building a service business or a marketing business that's similar to what we've done, I will say the biggest struggle for me as the founder and running the company and growing it has really been distractions. So keeping focused on what you know how to do, really pushing that value. The other thing that I've struggled with is repeating myself, like saying the same thing over and over. But remember, whoever you're talking to, the likelihood of them actually of hearing that story before or your voice is very, very low. So feel confident in repeating yourself, tell your story a lot, and eliminate distractions. My business coach is helping me a lot with that. Stay focused. This idea that we can do 15 things in a week is just not reality, even with AI. So stay focused, one thing at a time, build quality, niche down, build that social proof. That's what I would want to leave you guys with. Those are the things that have really worked for us.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Really, really useful insight. I think our audience will take quite a lot from here. And Maria, where can our viewers and listeners learn more about Accelerator Automation? How can they connect with you and learn more about your business?
Yeah, so our website is acceleratedautomation.net, not .com. That one was taken, unfortunately. So .net. And you can go there, contact us. There's tons of information. We also do have a YouTube page. So Accelerated Automation is our YouTube page. People go there and watch a lot of the videos and interviews. I'm also on all the social platforms. I've public pages, so we get a lot of DMs and messages and comments, but best to go to the website if you're looking for services as an insurance agency. If you've got questions about building your business that's got a similar model to ours, probably best to shoot me a DM on social media, LinkedIn or Facebook. That way you're getting me direct and not my team.
Right. Absolutely amazing. Thank you very much, Maria. And thank you all for tuning in. If you found this episode as insightful as we did, please hit subscribe, share it with someone in the insurance or FinTech community who's struggling with technology adoption or scaling operations. You can also find more episodes and resources on our website, YouTube, or Spotify or LinkedIn. Maria, thanks again for sharing those insights into the future of insurance automation. And to all tuning in, we'll be back again next week with another entrepreneur shaping the financial services. Until then, keep building and we'll see you again. Thanks again, Maria.